Hello everyone and welcome to CommunityForce webinar. My name is Mehreen Mirza and many of you all know, and I will be facilitating today's session. I'll also be answering your questions during the dedicated Q&A breaks. So please do not hesitate to ask anything throughout the session. We want this to be as interactive and as helpful as possible for all of you. Now with me is Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today and walk us through all the key areas of today's topic. Now, before we get started and while other attendees are still joining, let us give an overview of today's webinar and how you can make the most of the key features during this webinar. Now, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, there is an panel with an orange arrow. Please use this arrow to expand or collapse the panel. Also, to ask questions, simply type in the questions and click on send or enter. We'll do our best to answer your questions during the Q&A break, and even then, I will be typing them in throughout the session. So please feel free to type in your questions and I'll try my best to answer your questions. If I'm unable to answer, or if we are unable to answer any of your questions during this webinar, we'll follow up with an email after the webinar. Also, a copy of today's webinar is present as a PDF handout in the handout section, as you can see on the right-hand side. Click on the handout title and download it. Now, this handout includes individual help guides, knowledge-based articles for each of the topics that we are covering today. Also, for a smooth experience, everyone has been put on mute to minimize any background noise. Let's just have a look. Okay. Since most of you have joined, let us get started. So the topic for today is awarding applicants for the one-to-many application process. The duration of the webinar is 1 hour, but we might go a little over an hour if needed. That's completely depends on the Q&A breaks and the topics that we are covering today. So welcome everyone. I'll now hand over the mic to Christine. All yours, Christine. Thank you so much. Enjoy the session, everyone.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for that fine introduction. So let's go ahead and get started with our session today. So just a brief introduction. The webinar we're covering today is going to be an overview of how to award your applicants when using that one-to-many application. So that's when you have one application form, and tied to that application form, you have multiple funding sources. So it's one application, multiple funds, and then those are the funds that you're going to be using to award your applicants, but they're only going to use that one application to apply. We're also going to talk about how to use acceptance and post-accepted sections, what those are and how you can use them to collect information, like if you have award agreements. So you're awarding your applicants, you have an agreement you want to present to them, you want them to sign off on it, how you can use acceptance, and then post-accepted sections on how to gather data after they've accepted the award. Like if you're a scholarship provider, maybe you want to know maybe where do you need to send the check, what's the college, maybe you need to capture some additional information from them. That would be post-accepted section. So we'll talk about those today. And then we'll also show you our thank you letter functionality, because if you do scholarships, you usually have a functionality where your applicants need to thank the donors. So we do have a specific functionality designed specifically for that. So we'll talk about how to incorporate that as well. And some other helpful hints if you want to use it at post-accepted sections to collect those, you can, but then we also have that functionality you can use. So who's going to benefit from today's webinar? This is going to be interview administrators who are responsible for awarding your applicants, as well as notifying your applicants of their awards, releasing the award agreements, and then following up with the applicants after they've received the award, any follow-up status reportings that you may need to capture. So you will be the ones that will benefit from today's session. And when we talk about that one-to-many application process, of course, we're talking about, we always like to reiterate this because we want to make sure that you understand what a one-to-many application is. You have one application, and if you're a scholarship user, maybe you have 20 scholarships, then there's just one application. As the applicants are applying, they're being matched to those funding sources, and then you're awarding those funding sources that they've been matched to with that one-to-many process. And so the topics we're going to be covering is the award amount allocation. So those funding sources have award amounts. So the first step we're going to talk about is adding those award amounts, how to make sure you've got the correct amounts, how to award when you have a one-to-many fund, what functionality do you use? That's the manage awards multiple funds. If you need to edit an award, how do you make the edits to funds that you've awarded? How do you notify applicants once you've created the award and now you want to notify them that they've been awarded? We'll talk about how to do that. And then we'll take a quick break for 5 to 10 minutes and discuss any questions that may have come up over these topics that Maureen has been going through and answering those questions during the session. And then we'll review those again at the break. And then after the break, we'll continue with those post-acceptance sections and the acceptance sections, how to build them, how to release them, how to manage a post-accepted status report, and then the thank you letter functionality. And then at the very end, I'll go in as an applicant so you can see how the applicant sees these sections on their dashboard and how they complete them. And then after that, we'll take a quick final break and go over any additional questions that may have come up over these specific functions. So let's go ahead and go to the first item. So the first item we want to talk about is the Manage Awards Multiple Funds. Now, before you manage the awards, the first thing you want to do is check the award amount on that funding source to make sure you have the funding available to start doing your awarding, because as you award, it'll start showing you how much you've awarded, how much you have unallocated, how much you have allocated remaining. So it's important to make sure you have that fund amount in there so that you can award the appropriate amounts. So the easiest way to do that is one of the first steps here is you do want to make sure you have the correct fiscal year of those awards. And so let's go to the site here and I'm logged in as as the administrator, and I'm going to go to my application form that I'm going to be awarding. I'm going to open up that application form. And before I allocate any monetary funding to my funds, I do want to make sure that I'm allocating it in the correct academic period or that correct fiscal period, depending on what you call your financial period, so that I want to make sure that when I create these awards, that they're falling in the correct period that the financial awarding needs to fall in with our financials. So that academic period or that financial period that the award is falling in, because once you start awarding, you can't backtrack. So you always want to make sure you've got the correct. So when you first create the application form, under the application settings, in the general information section is where you would have created that when you first created the fund. And whatever you put on the application form, that's where it's going to put that academic year, that fiscal period, on the funds that you assign to it in the assigned application funds. So any fund that gets assigned to this specific application that I have, the awarding period is going to be the 25-26. So of course, if that's not right, before you do any awarding, you want to make this adjustment. You can just come here, change it to the correct period, and then make the adjustment. And then if you have an adjustment, always make sure to hit save and exit. And then if you've already assigned the funds, which more than likely you have because applicants are applying and being matched, that you wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't assigned. But then once you hit the save and exit, all of the assigned funds will then roll to that 25-26 fiscal period. And then once you know that this period is correct, then the next thing you're ready to do is add the funding, confirm the funding allocation is there. So I'm going to go over here down to the next item here, which is the assign application funds. So when you assign the application funds, more than likely you allocated some funding to those funds. So when I open up the assigned application funds, these are the funds that I have my application form, which is this up here. And then these are the funding sources that I've added that I'm going to be using to award my applicants. So as I added these to this application using this functionality, it automatically picked up that 25-26 academic year. But now I'm looking over here, and when I first created this, I really wasn't sure what I was going to have. So we always recommend you at least put $1 in all of the funds that you're going to be using for this period. But maybe now I know, maybe my donor came forward and actually funded some funding. And maybe on this specific funding source here, I now have 15,000 instead of 10,000. So I can actually come over here, hit the update amount allocated, and then under the funding source, you can do all of them or you can just do one. You want to select it. And then once you select it, it's just a matter of coming here, changing that monetary amount to the correct amount. And then, whoops, got an extra 0 in there, I think. Yep. And then once you're done making all your adjustments here, you just hit save. And then that will make the adjustment here. So now I have 15,000 instead of just 10,000 to award those applicants. So that's how you update that academic award. Then once you know that the academic year is correct, you know that you have your allocation for your funding all set up, you're now ready to begin your awarding. So to do the awarding functionality, so that's where we're going to go to this Manage Awards Multiple Funds. And this is where if you have a one-to-many process, you're going to use this because this will give you all the funds and all the applicants and that have been matched to those specific funds. So that's why we use this functionality, not it's always the Manage Awards Multiple Funds, not the one fund, because you want all of those funding sources to appear. So to access that, I'm going to go back to the site here. And I'm just going to go back to the home page so you can just kind of follow the trail. So I'm on that home page. I'm selecting the application form I want to award from. This is the application that all of my applicants applied to that are being matched to those awards. And then over here, you're going to see a functionality that says awards. So I'm going to click on that awards. And once I select it, you have multiple funds in one fund. Like I said, the Manage Awards one fund you do not want to use for the multiple funds when you have more than one fund tied, because you'll see if I change it, it's not going to show all of these individual awards. It's just going to be the one posting fund that doesn't have any monetary funding tied to it. I want the multiple funds because with that listing, it shows all of my funding sources that I've assigned in that assign funding that was up here in the application setting. So here's all these funds that have been assigned, and I can see what's happened. Now, one thing that's important to note that when you're doing the monetary money, the allocation of the funding, it's not just for this application form. It's for the entire academic period. So if you have 2 cycles in one academic period that are both being awarded for the 25-26 period, maybe I have 10,000 for this one, and then I have another 10,000 for the second cycle, but they're both coming out of that period. Then I want to make sure I make this 20,000 when I'm making that allocation. Because when you come here, when it says total amount allocated, this is looking at the entire academic period, that financial period, and saying, okay, this is what you've got allocated. Maybe you've already awarded, maybe you're in your second cycle, you can see, okay, in my first cycle, I have awarded them. I have awarded, maybe in this one, I already did it, 2,500 in the last cycle, and now I have 7,500. So this is the entire academic award period for this specific academic period. And then over here, it'll show you how many have already been awarded for this funding source across both periods. And then this one, this column here would be just for this application. So if you've awarded in other applications, you're going to see this column. And then over here, you'll see, okay, have I awarded any applicants from this specific application process? And then over here for this application process, this is the number of applicants that have been matched to this funding source. So for instance, I have this funding source here. This is telling me only 2 applicants are eligible for that specific funding. This one only has 3, 11, and so forth. So I can see all of my funding sources and who is eligible to receive those. And of course, I do have multiple pages. So of course, if I want to do more, I would have to scroll to those additional pages to see those other funding sources. So when we're ready to start awarding, Then, of course, here I would want to select the fund that I want to award. So I'm going to go ahead and award this DHG scholarship right now. So I'm going to click the title of that funding source. And as soon as I click the title of that funding source, it's going to give me the names for all the applicants within this application that matched to this application fund. So that matching is coming from the assigned fund, and then the criteria that you created to tell the system that if an applicant, based on the questions that they answered in their application form, answered questions a specific way, they're eligible for this specific fund. And then the system matches them, and then this is the results that it shows us. So I can see here I have 12 applicants that matched to this funding source. Now, of course, when you're looking at this, I'm going to scroll over here. You're going to see what the amount awarded if you've awarded any applicants. You're also going to see, based on the funding source that I clicked on, it's going to give me the automated score. So this automated score is looking at this fund and saying, do you have any automated score created for this specific funding source? And it's just going to return the results for that specific fund. Now, when you get over here to the average score and the total score, this is where you do need caution. This average score and total score is only looking at the average and total based on all of the tasks that are currently turned on. So the reason I say you want to use caution is if I go over here to the applicant score, I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find, let me see if she has multiple. Yes. So you can see here Amber was matched to a couple different scholarships. And so when it's looking at the total score, it's picking up that total score across all of those tasks that are turned on. So when you first come to this award details page, if you want to see, I'm only looking at the DHG scholarship. So I only want to know how my applicants scored on the DHG scholarship task. So when my reviewers were reviewing these applicants specifically for the DHG, I want to know what they gave the score as. So what I do need to do is go over here to this filter and then look for the filter by review task right here and look for the funding source I want to filter on and hit DHG. Now that list was short, even though you're like, well, she had several funds. Why did she only have a few? It's because in the evaluation setup of those tasks, I only have a certain ones turned on right now. So if you were in our other training sessions on the evaluation review, then you'll understand what I mean by turning those tasks on and off. If not, then that would be a good seminar or webinar for you to go back and review on what turning those on and off are. And so since I have the DHG now, you're going to notice the total score has changed because I'm filtering here on the DHG scholarship. So now it's going to adjust that for just the DHG scoring. And so now I can come over here, I can go high or low on my scores. I can sort here the total scores. The average is only going to be averaging on the reviewers that actually scored that applicant. If there was a reviewers assigned, it's not going to be included in the average if they did not score that applicant. So that's where those total scores are coming from. So now I'm going to scroll back over here and talk about what we see over here on the left-hand side. And over here, again, you can see over here is where I can see all the different scores that are Amber was scored on that are currently turned on. The award applicant we'll get to in a minute. What's nice here is award questions. So a lot of times you're looking at an applicant and you're saying, okay, I see their score, but I want to know how did they answer specific questions. So when the application was built, specific questions were tagged to show on the award screen. And this is what the show on the award screen is. It's going to show them on this screen. I can hit this little question mark and see, okay, this is what her annual income question was. Her high school GPA, if I have maybe down here, we're using a different type of a cumulative GPA, her grade status, different questions that were created in this application form that were maybe some tiebreaker questions, like maybe, okay, I see they both have a pretty high score, but which one had the higher GPA? And then you can come here and look at it and say, okay, I see which one had the higher. I'm going to go ahead and give the award to this specific individual. So that's what those award questions are. And that was in the build of the application. In the application question, there was a toggle that says show on award screen, and then that's the questions there that show up. Now, another scenario you could have, since you have multiple funding sources and applicants get matched to multiple funding sources, is you might be curious, okay, I want to award Amber in this funding source, but what else has she been matched to? So you can click this little matching awards, click on those little hands, and then it's going to pull up a list of all the different funding sources that she's currently matched to. So I can see that she is matched to a couple of different ones. So maybe I might want to go quickly look at those and see, okay, what was her score in comparison to the other, kind of go back and forth and see, make a determination of which scholarship do I want to give her. So you can quickly see that also. And then again, these are those questions that were those award questions here at the top of the page. So I'm going to go back to award applicant details, and now we're going to talk about, okay, I've decided Amber is one of the applicants that I do want to award. So how do you do that from this screen? So you go over here to award applicant and click on that icon next to her name. And any awards that she's already received are going to be down here on the bottom, and it'll show what the award was. As of right now, though, I have not awarded Amber any of my scholarships. So I'm just seeing those again. Here's those award questions at the top of the page. And so what I do need to do to create an award, also you can see you can get to the awards, the score here as well to see how she scored. I'm just going to do that real quick so you can see. And then there's all the different scores. And then again, here I can filter by just the DHG if I want to see just the DHG. So now I'm going to go back to award applicant. And now I'm here, and now I'm ready to award her. So this is where you add the award. And what's nice on this screen is if I click add award, up here it says awarded fund, and it's going to default to the one that I drilled down from. However, maybe I want to give her the DHG, and then maybe I want to give her another one at the same time. I can actually give her the DHG, and then once I save this one, I don't have to go completely out of everything. I already know I want to give her both of those funds, so at the end, then I can just hit the add award again, and then add from the same screen, hit the add award and add another one for that other fund. But right now, we're just going to focus on the DHG. So when you are awarding, it's very important to first look at this awarded fund to make sure you're awarding the correct fund, because you can come here and change them. So you do want to confirm you're in the right fund to award. This is telling you over here what do you have left, or what you had originally. This is what you have available now. And now this open fields here are where you can start entering the data for this specific applicant. Now you're going to see there's two fields, an initial award and a final award. So what's the difference? Well, the initial award is more of like a place card holder where you can enter an award, and then once you're done entering the award, you can go back to that details page for the specific funding source and create an Excel report, send it to your board and say, okay, this is the initial awards we want to give, look them over, approve them. Then if they approve them, then you can come back here and enter the final award. However, you don't have to do the initial award. It's not something you have to do. It's just, it's there for that specific purpose. Because what happens is when you enter a final award, if I close out here, you're going to see right now the applicant's status is, let's see, I thought it was on here, but let me just confirm. Right here is under committee review. So as soon as she gets one award awarded to her in the final award, her status is going to go to selected for award. So if I just enter the initial award, she won't be at that selected for an award status yet. And then, of course, that's helpful because there are functionalities, especially with the acceptance and post-acceptance, that as soon as she goes to that status, if those sections are activated to show when she's at that status, they'll now be on her dashboard. But maybe I haven't told her about the award, so I don't want them to show. So that's why I would use that initial award as well, because as soon as I enter a final award, you're going to see her status is going to change. So let's go back to the add the award. So I'm going to just bypass well, I'll just put a figure in there. I'm going to give her 2,500. That's the initial, but I'm going to put a final award in here because this is the final, and I know, that's the final. Now, in regards to this award, if I want to put a comment regarding that award, I can for an internal comment, so that when I'm looking at the award screen, I can look at my comments and see, okay, maybe I want to make a comment on maybe something about this specific award. Okay, and this is internal. The applicant wouldn't see this because there's no toggle to turn it on. And then these fields down here, these are all fields that were created in the administration site settings. And these are fields that you can create in the administration site settings to gather additional information. So maybe at this time, you might not know the bank name or the bank account number or any of this kind of stuff, or you might not know, some of the check number. But what's nice with this is I can complete it now, or once I get this information, I can come back here once I make the payment to her and I can flag it as well. So they're all custom fields. They're fields you name for your process. So you may not even have this as part of your process, these specific fields, but you may need to create other ones that when you do an award, you want to go ahead and populate some data for those award fields so that way you can capture it. And then once you are done here, you just go ahead and hit save. And then you'll notice now it's not blank down here. It actually shows the award that I've done for her. I've given her that she's gotten the DHG Endowed Scholarship. And from that scholarship, she received 2,500. Now notice I did put a final award in. So if we scroll up here, notice her status is now changed to selected for an award. So any functionality that I have flagged to be activated when they get to that status is now showing on her dashboard. There is another way I'll talk about too, about how to release those if you're not ready for her to get it, but I want to go ahead and enter all this stuff. There is a way you can deactivate those sections, and then once you're ready to turn them over to her, you can go in and activate them so she can't complete them until that time as well. Okay, so now it's showing selected for an award. And if I wanted to, I could maybe do another award, hit add award, and keep continuing awarding her. Or maybe I look at this and maybe I just did the initial award and I need to update the final award, or I did the initial award and it's not 2,500, or we determined, you know what, we don't want to award her. How do you edit that? Well, editing your awards is done under the Manage Awards Multiple Funds again. So what you can do, you can update either the initial or the final award amounts. Also, maybe you didn't have the bank and routing numbers. You need to go back in. This is how you would do that to edit that data. So under the site here, you would just go back in. So I'm just going to kind of backtrack. So let's say we're here. We decided we need to make some edits. You would just go back into the awards multiple funds, go into that funding source, locate the applicant you want to make some adjustments to. And then over here, right here, this edit is where you would hit edit. Now, if I hit delete, it would remove this award completely from her and put her back to the status she was. But if I go in and edit, let's say I go in and edit and I change this to 0, it's also going to put her back to the status that she was. So anytime the final award is 0 or less, it's going to put her back to a status of it's going to put it to a status that was the original status she was before you awarded her. If I just change this to a lesser amount, maybe it's not 2,500, maybe it's 2,400, then it would still keep her status as selected for an award. And then also maybe I've given her the award and now I've gotten this information, then I can come here and I can start updating this data as I receive it. And then once you make any adjustments, always be sure to hit save. Okay, so that's how you make edits to the awarding. Now, of course, after you've awarded, the next step of awarding, you've awarded your applicants, you've entered all this data into the system. So my next step then is I need to notify my applicants of the award. So just so you know, as soon as they go to selected for an award, there's nothing that gets sent to them. Nothing goes to the applicant. The only things that happen is if you have things set up for them to be on their dashboard, those are going to appear on their dashboard, but the applicant doesn't know to go there yet because you haven't told them. So in the notifying the award applicants, this is where there is a specific email template that you can use. And that email template is located under notifications. And then under the notifications, you're going to look for the email template for the awarding. See if I can find it here real quick. Awarding scholarship award. So I'm going to click on this, and this is it. You can rename it to whatever you want it, but it's an awarding scholarship award. But since this is a one-to-many application process, there's a certain fields you want to use for this, and there's certain fields you do not want to use for this. So of course in this, since the application itself is tied to what's called that posting fund, not the actual fund they're being awarded, you can see here I say congratulations, and then of course I might need to make an adjustment because this was from the 21-22 period, so I might want to make sure I have my 2026 academic year. And then this field right here is the important one. So the award details. So since an applicant can receive more than one fund in a one-to-many process, the award details is going to outline that. So if I awarded this Amber the DHG, and maybe I also awarded another one called WCFE, and all of the awards that she received, the award details is going to outline every single one that I awarded her. The final award, initial award, if I use those, notice here it says only for single award. That means that's only for a one-to-one application process where I have one application with one fund. But with the multiple awards, the one-to-many process, we use the award details. And you'll also notice there's an initial award details. And that's if maybe you're just putting the initial award, you're not doing a final award yet. If you just did the initial award, but you haven't populated the final award yet, and that's when you're notifying the applicants before you put that final award in, then you want to use the initial award details. So what that's going to do is it's going to give them the name of the scholarship that they were awarded, or the funding source that you have, whatever you call them. I call them scholarships. It's going to have the name and then the amount they received. So if she received 2, it would say the DHG 2,500, WCFE 2,500. It would list them all out with those details of what she received. And then of course the information down below here, this is any information I want to provide to her. If it is the final award and I have those sections activated on the site, I can put into this message, please go to your dashboard, open up your original application form, and you'll see additional sections to complete to accept your award. So that's what this email is for. You can go in, you can modify it, you can update it, but just make sure you keep the appropriate fields, especially this award detail, so they know what they've received. If you don't have that award details, they're not going to know the name of the award that they're receiving. And then of course the application is the name of the application. The grants and fellowship name, this is not the name of the one that they've received. This is the name of that posting fund, the name that they saw for the application when they went online to see that posting fund. So don't confuse that thinking, oh, I got to put that in there because she needs to know what she received. The award details is giving her the name of that. Okay, so that's the key ones we wanted to talk about, is making sure you use the award details for the multiple awards, not the single award, and not entering this thinking that's the name of the award that they've been awarded. Okay, so then when you're ready to, if that email template's out there and you're in the award screen, you can notify them from the award screen. So you can do all your awarding and then come in here. And once you're done with the DHG, you want to notify them. Maybe you have here, so you would just come here. You can select the ones you want to notify. And then you just come over here to the notify button. And then you can actually select that template, that award template. It'll populate it, and then you can schedule it to happen at a later date. So maybe you're going in, you want to make sure that you get these emails out. And so you're going in and scheduling them, but I don't want them to go out today. I want these emails to go out maybe Friday. That gives me time to get everything together, and then all the emails go out together. You can schedule that for Friday, or I can click send now and send it now. Or of course, then you can also preview this if you want to know what the preview looks like, how it's going to look to them. You can do that as well. And then of course, when you're ready to send it, make sure to hit send now. And then once you hit the send now, it will send it to that applicant, and then it'll also show you in the manage applications the last date that it was sent, of course. So you can see here, there's that comment that I created. They're now at selected for award. I've awarded $2,500 to Amber, and so now we're ready to move forward here with the next step. But before we do so, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and let Maureen do any questions that have come in and discuss those. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you, Christine. Yeah, we do have some interesting questions. One of the questions is, I cannot see the scholarships on my awarding screen, even though I use the one-to-many process. Well, because you're seeing that as application specific. Can we go to the administration tab, Christine? So this is what you'll need to do. If you are the global admin, you have full access, please go to the administration tab and you will find the setting under site settings. There we go. On the left-hand panel, once you click on site settings, when you scroll down right towards the bottom or open the award screen, right? Award, manage award screen. See now right above all of these fields, you can see applicant specific or scholarship specific. Make it, change it to scholarship or grant specific, and then save the changes, and you should have the relevant scholarships show up on your screen. Thank you so much, Christine. Then I cannot, none of the applicants are matching to my scholarships. What do I do? Well, for starters, basically, thank you. For starters, basically what you need to do is refresh your reporting database. So under the application itself, when you go back to the home screen, you have to go to reporting, because at the back end, your criteria, right? How your applicants are matching to the relevant scholarships is because of the setup of the eligibility criteria. Now, because your eligibility criteria is sort of connected with the reporting, where the database is getting synced. If the database isn't getting synced, like as Christine is showing, maybe the matching applicants might not show up. So what you can do is go to manage applicants. Yes, go to ad hoc reports, and there you can click on sync applicant data or sync review data. The button will disappear for some time, and then you can go back in and check whether the matching applicants are showing. Give the system a little, a few minutes. If still after doing this, if the applicants do not match, please open a ticket with us on Zendesk. Maybe the database needs to be refreshed from the back end. Our infrastructure team will take care of that. So please feel free to reach out to our support team, either open a ticket with us on Zendesk or reach out to client success at communityforce.com, and either one of our teams will get back to you with a resolution. Okay, so that is another question. Okay, and what else is there? Yeah, okay. Can the applicant see the status of when they are selected for the award? So no, the applicants cannot see when they are being selected for an award. The only statuses the applicant see is selected for award, not selected, sorry, pending submission and submitted status. Okay. They will not see when the applicant has moved to committee review or when they've been selected for an award. That is only for the admins to see. Okay, so don't worry about that. Also, there is one interesting question that Cheryl has asked us: is there a field for total amount awarded for multiple awards? As Christine has explained, there is a merge field used for award details, right? Where the applicant is notified with all of a breakdown of all the scholarships and the amounts that have been given to them under those scholarships. But the total Unfortunately, that field is not available. Cheryl, we'll take this to our development team and hopefully add it to the roadmap. So those are the few questions that I had, Christine. The rest I've answered in the Q&A box. So thank you so much. Back to you, Christine. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Maureen, for answering those questions. Very fine job on that. So let's go ahead and continue now. So now we've awarded the applicants, and now that you've awarded them, you want to maybe do an award agreement. You want to provide something to them so that they can accept the award. After they accept the award, maybe you need to collect data in regards to where to send the funding, or maybe you have a report that you want them to report back on, maybe after a specific semester. When's their tuition date? You know, maybe there's different dates that the tuition's due. What's the tuition date that it's due for a specific semester? Or maybe you want them to report back on their GPAs for a specific semester. You can do post-acceptance sections for those. So the difference between an acceptance and a post-acceptance is the acceptance would be the initial stage of the acceptance of the award. That's where the award agreement, those would be any fields in regards to that award agreement. And you would want them to complete those sections. And then once they complete the sections, there's actually a button on the dashboard called Award Accepted. And you'll see that. And when they click that button, then you know they'll complete the sections, then they go in and complete that button. Once they click that button, their status is going to change to award accepted. It'll be award accepted on your dashboard, and it'll be award accepted on their dashboard. They will see that award accepted once they've accepted the award. And then you'll know that they've completed those sections. And then so now you know, okay, they've accepted it. That award accepted section has been accepted, and they've completed that. That's the status. So let's talk about building those first, because there's some helpful hints of what you can include in those. So I'm here on the home. I'm going to go back to the home page. And of course, we're talking about the acceptance and post-accepted sections here. And from the home page, I'm going to select the application form. And these are built just like you would any other section. The only difference is you're going to identify this section with a specific status or statuses that you want this to appear on their dashboard. And so only when the applicant gets to that status, then they will be able to see those sections. If they're not at a specific status, then they won't see those sections. So of course, these are acceptance sections. So I'm going to go to application settings here. And then once I'm in application settings, this is where I see all the application sections that have been built on my application. If I haven't built this section yet, I would go ahead and click add to create a new section and then build that section out. But one of the key things that I want to make sure of is you're going to notice over here, I have acceptance sections and I have post-acceptance sections. So when I create my acceptance sections, when I actually build it, I'm going to go to the edit here so you can see how it was built. I want to put section type acceptance. That's what helps me see on that page I was just on, what's my acceptance section. And then down here is the important element. So I don't want all of my applicants, even the ones that weren't selected for an award, the ones that weren't, that never submitted their applications. I don't want them to see this. So this is where I set the status and I tell the system, only my applicants that have been selected for an award or accepted or declined the award, because this is the award acceptance section. So even if they declined it, I might want this to stay on their dashboard. So I keep declined there. Only those applicants that have those statuses are going to see this specific section. Now, the reason I put award accepted, because if I just did selected for an award, as soon as their status changed to award accepted, this section is going to disappear off their dashboard. I don't want it to disappear because I need it to stay there. So that's why I keep all three of these statuses, depending on if once they click that award accepted, even though they're no longer selected for an award, it's still going to stay on their dashboard. And then the other key element, of course, is it's not the same deadline as the application, because that deadline was the deadline they had to complete the application. This has its own deadline. So this is where I got to say, okay, when do I need this back? When is this due? Do I need these agreements? This is going to be my agreement functionality. And so here's the deadline date. And then here is the time that they have to complete it. Now, since we have, this is my acceptance section, and with the accepted section, they have a button that they need to click. I don't want to put a submit button because it gets confusing. So I leave my submit button to no, because this is the submit for just the specific section. That means they submit the section. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't trigger anything with an acceptance section, because the trigger is I want them to move to award accepted, so I know that they've completed it. So I have special instructions in my section that once they complete the section, to go ahead and save that section, and then return to the dashboard and click the award button. Now, they won't be able to click that award button until they complete the sections 100% that are currently out there on their site. So any section that's still not 100%, it's not going to allow them. It's going to work like a submit button on the dashboard. So don't get this submit confused with the award submit. This is just for the section. Okay, then of course here, of course you're going to give your instructions, and then create that section, and then go ahead and hit save and exit to save it once you've made your adjustments. Hopefully I didn't cause this to be delayed a little bit. It might take a while here. It's reading it. Didn't mean to hit save. I should have exited, but when you're doing it, of course, you need to hit save and exit so it can save the section that you're creating or making adjustments to. And yeah, it's going to take too long, so I'm going to go ahead and close out and just go quickly back into the site here. Okay, go back in. Okay, so then once you return, you save it, you're back here. And so you do that for all your acceptance sections. Make sure you have the deadline, and then make sure you have the correct statuses set for them. Now, for the acceptance sections, some of the things like the acknowledgement. So sometimes you have a scholarship acknowledgement, and everybody gets the same form. But so the scholarship acknowledgement, what this is for is I had to do a two-step process, because this is the scholarship acknowledgement. That scholarship acknowledgement just identifies the awards they've received. So you're going to notice I have a specific question in this section. This is the awarded scholarship. This is going to show them all the scholarships they received. It's going to give a line for each one and the monetary amount they received. So if they receive more than one, this section is very important, because based on what award they receive, in the next section I'm going to show you, which is also an acceptance section, as soon as they save this section and they answer this question, it's going to trigger in my next accepted section based on the award that shows in here. It's then going to have on that page, that section, the new one, of data pertaining just to those awards based off of what was read here in the award scholarship question. So I build this question type. I have to use this question type. I put an accept because this is my trigger. And then once, like I said, once they save it, then it's going to trigger another section to appear. Right here's the acceptance section. So here's my acknowledgement. That's going to show them what they received. This is where the agreement comes in. This gives me all the agreements for all of the specific scholarships that they're being awarded. So you're going to notice over here, I have a logic set so that in this section, when they answer that question that they accept, I have it in a separate section, because as soon as they have to save the section, because that's the trigger that causes it to happen. As soon as they save the section, then this section, where to go? This section right here is then going to appear. And so now they finish this, and now boom, this one's on their dashboard. It's set up as an acceptance so that as soon as they answer that question and save that section, this one's on their dashboard. And then this is where I create all of the different agreements. Maybe instructions, maybe I have a thank you letter I want them to, I say, if they are awarded a specific award, maybe there's a specific thank you letter. I'm not using the thank you letter functionality, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm just creating something for them to upload. So all of these, maybe some of my scholarships require a photo, some of them don't. So I can add this question and then set logic. And what I'm setting logic on is the actual, that awarded scholarship question that was in that acknowledge section. So here is my DHG scholarship. Only my applicants that have been awarded the DHG scholarship are going to receive this. Here is the logic. Looking at, there's that scholarships awarded to you. That's that scholarships awarded question that I build in the acknowledgement. If it doesn't say DHG, do not show them this section. Only show them the section if they were awarded the DHG scholarship. So this is looking at the awarded, not the matched fund. It's looking at what was actually awarded to them. So that's how I can control different acknowledgements for different scholarships, different data, different information for each one of those scholarships that they've been awarded. I build all the questions for all of my scholarships, and then I create that logic so that once they get awarded a specific scholarship, they see the logic just for the ones they've been awarded, and they see those questions. So these are all just, that's how I do that. I do a two-step process: acknowledgement, and then the data regarding what they're acknowledging. And then you can add a signature where they can sign it here. They can do an electronic signature. You can do the agreement all right here on this page. Now, sometimes you may also even have, based on specific scholarships, you can even create staff sections. And in those staff sections, if you have something that you don't want to put here, maybe it's something specific to just that applicant, then you can create a staff section and create that question in a staff section, and then link it in here so that when the applicant opens it up and it was linked, they'll see the reply. Like you might say, you know, something about you have a deadline of such and such date to complete something, and then you can put that here and in your staff section, and then link it so that they can see it visible. You can create the message in your staff section and then see it visible here, something like that too. You can link it for if it's just specific to that applicant, not specific to the funding, specific to the applicant. Then put it in a staff section, answer it in the staff section, and then link it to this section here, and then it'll be visible. It'll be a linked question where it's just a view only for that applicant. Okay, so that's the agreement. So that's acceptance sections. And then you'll notice in my acceptance sections, I have a note: after completing the section, please return to your dashboard and click the accept button. This is a very important step. If they don't do this step, you don't know that they've completed these sections, because as soon as they click that accept button, their status is going to go to award accepted. You're going to see that and you're going to know they did it. If it's not done, then you do have to reach out to them and say, hey, you might look and say, oh, yeah, they did finish the section, but they didn't click the button. Then you're going to reach out to them and tell them that they need to click that award accepted button. Okay. So that's the acceptance. Now, the post-accepted sections. So let's talk about post-accepted sections. So post-accepted sections are completed after they've accepted the original award. And that's to capture additional information, maybe the payment method, or like this says, reporting on semester grades, just any data, thank you letters. You can even put thank you letters as a post. You want them to accept it. There's the agreement. And then after they've agreed to it and they've agreed for the fund, then you can have the post-accepted section appear where you can capture the thank you letters. And that's what I like to do. I like to create those in a post-accepted section because I don't want them seeing that they need to do a thank you letter until after they've accepted the award. You can pull all of that out and put them in post-accepted sections, and then they only do it if they've accepted the award. So, whoops. For post-accepted sections, let's talk about how to build those. It's going to be the same way as you build an acceptance section, but now over here when I build those, I no longer have selected for an award because I don't want it to appear when they're selected for an award. I only want it to appear after they've accepted the award. So the only status I have it showing is once they get to award accepted. Now, award accepted is the last status that we have on our system. So award accepted is the last one. If they declined it, I don't want them getting this section. So all I have to do is award accepted, and that will always be on their dashboard no matter where they are, as long as their award accepted. And of course, again, it's going to have its own deadline. So I'm going to do section deadline, and I'm going to go ahead and put that deadline date for that specific section that they have to complete it. Now on this one, you're going to notice I do have a submit button because they're already at the award accepted status. There's no more statuses for me to identify when they've completed a section. So what they need to do is, on this specific section, there does need to be a submit button. And it's very important you make this very bold, because they do forget to click the submit, because they're so used to completing the information and saving that they see that submit button and they just save. They bypass it. They don't click it, they save it, but then they don't submit it. You don't know that they've got it completed. So that's why the submit button is here, and then make sure you put in the instructions, something to that. I have it at the end of my section so that when they get to the bottom, they'll see it. You might make it big and bold, bright colors, something for them to see so that they know that that's the final step of submitting this section, so that you know that you have it. So that's the key. So when you build this, I have it as post acceptance, so I know it's a post acceptance. I can see it on that screen, and then also there's a special report, because you're going to say, well, how do I know they've completed it? There's a special report that we're going to talk about here in a minute that helps you see what's been submitted. So as long as it says post acceptance, it's going to show on that report. Status and then deadline. Those are the key elements, and submit button for building a post accepted section. So let me go ahead and exit without save. So you can see that's how that's built. And then of course, then you just go in and you add questions like you would normally for a regular section. And I guess it's going to decide to give it a minute here. Just don't want it to run too long, and we're just idly waiting, because we do have some more things to cover here. Okay, let's just go ahead and log in again. Go back in. Okay, so now once they complete the post accepted section and they hit the submit button, of course, once they submit it, how do you know? Because there's no status that they're going to go to. So what you can do is go to what's called a post acceptance section status report. So that post acceptance status report here, I go back to the site, is under, so I'm here logged in under the application, and I go to manage reports, and under manage reports, you're going to see manage post acceptance section status. So that's the report that when they click that submit button on that section, this is nice because here it's showing there's my scholarship claim form, there's my thank you letter. If I go, I got one applicant that has completed those. They click the submit button on those two sections, and there they are for them to complete. Okay, and then I'll say, okay, they've submitted those. I can see that they've submitted, and this is just the post acceptance section status. Now we do have a question that can arise with our clients is, so say I award my applicants and I want to do an award banquet. And so I want to put the awards in, and I want to create all of, you know, the information. I want to get it all there. I want to be able to take that report, export it, maybe do a mail merge, create some nice little documents to give them. But I don't want them going in to get that acceptance section. I don't want them completing that yet because they haven't had the awards banquet. So what you can do is, and maybe even the same with the acceptance sections. Maybe there's one, they don't get that till maybe 6 months from now. I don't want them to see that on their dashboard. They're at award accepted. I don't want them to see it on their dashboard. How can I control that? So one way you can control it is you can go ahead and put them as the final award. But then once you give them the award and notify them, then you can come back here. You can actually turn these sections off so they're not on their dashboard. Even though they're at that specific status, If it hasn't been activated, it's not going to show on their dashboard. So you can come here, deactivate these so nothing's on their dashboard for them to complete. Then when you're ready for them to complete it, make sure to come back here, reselect that section and hit save. Then it comes time, these two need to be done. That's the agreement, hit save. I don't want them doing the others yet, so I'm going to leave it till maybe 6 months from now, reach out to them, say, hey, it's time to complete such and such section. Please go back into your dashboard. It will now be there. It will only be there if they've been activated. And then make sure and hit save when you reactivate them. Save when you deactivate by removing the checkbox. Save at once you reactivate them so that they're there as well. Okay, now the final thing I want to talk about is our thank you letter functionality. So we do have here with CommunityForce a specific functionality called Manage Donor Thank You Letters. And what that is there's a specific question type called thank you letter question type. And when you use that question type to capture a thank you letter, it's an essay box question only, it's essay. What it does is the applicant sees that essay box, they complete their thank you letter, they type it out in that essay box, what they wanted to say, and in that thank you letter question. And then once they save that thank you letter question, it will then appear on a functionality called Manage Donor Thank You Letters. So how does that work? So let me go into so you can see where I built it. So here I have a section. I decide I want it to be in the post accepted section. I have, once they've accepted their award, any awards that they've accepted, I need thank you letters. So I create this section called thank you letters, just a regular section. It's a post acceptance. So I have a deadline for them. I click on that section and you can see how it's built, what that specific question type looks like. So here I have thank you letter from my AJG, thank you letter for the athletic, thank you letter for the DHG. So there's all my thank yous, and here's the question type, thank you letter. It's a specific question type called thank you letter. If I click on this, I'm hoping it doesn't take too long. So you can just kind of see what I'm talking about with question type. So right here it says type thank you letter. And then when I create that, it knows that that's a specific essay box that works with our functionality. Now, I also create logic on all of those because I don't want them getting all these questions. I only want them to get the questions for the ones that they've been awarded. So that's where I go and I look back at that acknowledgement like I did on that other one, and I say only show this thank you letter question if they were awarded the scholarship. And then once they awarded it, they've done their acknowledgement, then they can get this, and then they can do their thank you letters for just the ones that they've been specifically awarded. So what does this do? So it's going to create that essay box question for the applicant. And then what you have is you have the ability then to push it on to the donor. They do the essay, you see the essay, you can actually even edit the essay, and then the system will automatically send an email to the applicant. So what it does is we have the functionality under notifications here, manage donor thank you letters. And so it's looking for all of in the application for any question that was created as a question type of donor thank you letter. And here's the applicant any applicant that completes their thank you letter will show here. I can see here the donor email. So this donor email is coming from the manage application funds. When I built that fund, I can add the donor information, and as part of that donor information is the donor email. So that way it knows who to send this letter to. I can come over here and hit the view. And once I hit the view, I can see what the applicant wrote. And I can see, okay, they made a little bit of a typo here, so I can go ahead and correct it before I send it to the donor. And then maybe I want to go ahead and put the donor's name here. And this one, once you make these edits, it will show to the applicant. And so you can just kind of see, you can edit and then enter maybe a closing for them, and then also what you could do also is in that thank you letter, one thing I do recommend, and the question that you're giving to the applicant, give them the formatting. How do you want them to format it? Maybe that you want them to know that the specific donor's name, put that in that little paragraph for that when you're creating the question, that question text, and give them information on how you want this to be outlined. What maybe you want to give them specific terms that you want them to say, specific ways to address it, that sort of thing. And then you can save it, or when you're viewing it, you can save and send. Or if you don't want to make any changes, just go ahead and hit the send. And then as soon as you hit that send or save and send, it's going to show you the date and time that it was sent. And then that donor will get a specific email designed from our system that will let them know. It'll send it to that email that was on that donor information. And then they get this email here. I'm trying to open it up here as I'm talking here. And then this is the email that they would receive. Okay. And it went directly to that donor. So that's our email functionality that we have. Now I'm going to take a minute because I know you might want to say, well, how does this all look to the applicant? So I'm going to go in as that Amber and log in as her. I'm going to log out here. And then after I show you from the applicant's perspective, I'll turn it over to Maureen to answer the final questions that we had here. So I'm going to log in. Hopefully I remember the login here. And then this is how the applicant would do it. They would log in back to their dashboard. And in my email that I sent them, I would have told them, please return to your dashboard and accept the award. There should be a section appearing on your dashboard. Once you complete that section, please be sure to click the accept button so that I know that you've accepted this award. Failure to do so would be not considered an acceptance or something to that extent in your email, so that they knew to do this. So now they're going here, they're going to go to the application form that they submitted. So you can see right now it's only showing submitted. This is the application. They're not seeing that it says selected for an award. It's only showing right now that they've been submitted. So now I'm going to click on it, and once I click on it, then there's those decline and accept buttons I was talking about. Now with this specific one, I've already answered that acknowledgement question, so this form is here. But if I hadn't answered that question already, then this form would not be here. But you can see here, if I go to scholarship acknowledgement, what are they seeing? They're seeing there's that yes, that shows they've accepted the award. This is where they can sign it. They can put their signature and complete this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because if this isn't 100% complete, then it's not going to allow them to click the accept button. So now as she can see, okay, she received this award on this date, and then this is the amount that she received. And then she can hit save and return to dashboard. And then this would then show on her dashboard. And then she would click on this. And then when she clicks that, she has some more. Do you wish to accept the award? She can say yes. And then when she says yes, there could maybe be, okay, there's some additional things. That this one just kind of shows you this is not the thank you letter functionality, but this is another way. If you didn't use our thank you letter functionality, she would then have this on her dashboard for her to complete. Okay, and then when she completes it, she hits save and return to dashboard. Now she's not done because she hasn't clicked the accept button. So right now her status is still submitted. So what she needs to do, and you'll notice those other acceptance, these are the acceptance sections. Those post-accepted sections we're not seeing yet, because remember that said only show those if they were at award accepted. So now I'm going to come here, I'm going to click the accept. Now, as soon as she clicks the accept, it's still not going to change her status yet. This is just a confirmation. Do you want to accept? She's going to say yes. And then it says you successfully accepted an award. But notice it still says submitted. So she does need to go back out. And now you'll see it says award accepted. Now it says award accepted. So now when she's at award accepted, she can go back in. Once you've accepted the award, return to your dashboard. And now when you return to your dashboard, there's those additional questions and sections for you to complete. Now these won't show me anything. Notice there's no button for her to complete. So that's where that submit button, I'm going to click on it here. And this is where she can enter all her information that she needs to enter, upload any documentation I need from her, and then any data I want to provide to her, and then maybe she needs to sign off again. And then here, see, there's that submit button. So after completing your questions, please click the submit button to finalize the completion. If she just hits save and return to dashboard, I don't know that she's completed it. It will not show to me that she's completed it. So I do need for her to go in and click the submit button to submit that section. And then that's what's going to be the trigger that puts that on that post acceptance section report. And of course, this is a thank you letter using our thank you letter functionality. So how does it look to them? This is that essay box that they see. And then here, this is just a brief message for demo purposes, but this is where you would put instructions on how to write the letter. And then this is where she would then put, I'm just going to put test donor email. I'm just going to Amber. Okay, there. She completes it. I do need her to hit save and submit. And then save and return. And now that is completed now as well. And now if I log in as an admin, I'm going to see two things here. Oops, I'm still logged in as her. Sorry. Log in. And if I go to that application form, maybe I'm in Manage Applicants. And Manage Applicants, I'm going to see over here, award accepted. So I say, okay, she's accepted her award. We're done with that process. Then post accepted sections, I can go over here to Manage Reports. And under Manage Post Acceptance sections, I can see, okay, she submitted this, but she didn't submit the thank you letter. She only clicked save on that, so she didn't submit it. But I do know she did the thank you letter, so one, I can tell her to go in and submit it. But I also need, maybe I want to see what she wrote, so I can go to notifications here, manage donor thank you letters. And there she's now appearing there. And then I can view it, and then I can see what she wrote, and so forth. Okay, so that's that process, and that's the post acceptance and acceptance sections. So I'll go ahead and stop there and turn it over to Maureen for final questions. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Christine. That is indeed very insightful to look at things from the applicant as well as the administration side. Thank you. Okay, we do have a few questions that says, how do I know if the applicant has not accepted the award? Well, it's very simple. You should be able to see the applicant status changing under Manage Application screen. If that status has not changed from selected for award to award accepted, then very clearly the applicant has not accepted the award. So what you'll need to do is filter the applicants as per selected for award first. See who are still on the selected for award who have not accepted. So you can go ahead and filter the applicants again by select award accepted. If your selected for applicants have not accepted the award, those applicants will not show up here. Then you can notify the applicants using the notify option from this screen itself here and inform them to please accept the award. The two buttons that are showing up on their dashboard, please click on the accept button. So that's how you will know. The other one is, I do not see a place to add the donor details under my fund setup screen. So under manage application funds, this is a setting that you'll need to activate if it isn't activated at your end. So let's go, Christine, let's just go ahead and have a look at where you're going to add the funds. Okay, under administration. So if you're a global admin, you will have access to administration. And again, go back to the site settings. It's pretty simple. You just have to activate the setting, and then you can go in on individual funds and add the donors. Now, if we scroll down to grants fellowship settings, this should be pretty much at the top. There we go, enable fund donor. So just make sure that's a yes, and you should be able to add the fund donors to each individual fund. So because there's another question in connection with this, do I need to add the donor details before the application goes live? Preferably yes, because then you have the thank you letters that is coming up, right? So it's best that you add the donors. Sorry, Christine is showing us where the donors information is going to show up. Sorry, Christine, I just skipped. Okay, so as you can see, where and how you can see the donor information. If we click on edit under the manage application funds, right at the bottom of the screen, as Christina is showing us, and there we go, add a donor. So you'll be able to click on edit, add another donor if this is not the correct donor in the system. And these donors don't have an account built in the system. You have to remember that. So you cannot set up a donor under setup user screen. Okay, so remember that you're going to individually add donors that are not present as users within your CommunityForce platform. Okay, thank you so much, Christine. I am interested in setting up the donor thank you letters. How do I set this up? Please reach out to clientsuccess@communityforce.com. Reach out to our client success team. One of our SMEs will get on call with you. We'll have a brief consultation with you, understanding your requirements, and we'll guide you in the best way possible. So if you're interested in donor thank you letters, adding new funds to your application, please always reach out to clientsuccess@communityforce.com, and we'll get back to you with we'll schedule a call. That's it from my side, Christine. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Christine.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for covering those final questions. So of course, make sure you get a copy of today's handout so you can get the resources and those quick links from the handout, so that will take you to our help guides and our videos that we have on these topics to help drill down even deeper than what we're able to cover today. And then, of course, also, like Maureen said, if you do have something you want some more information on, then you do want to reach out to our client support team via Zendesk and enter a support ticket asking for a client support specialist to reach out to you to go over your specific processes. And then, of course, also, there will be a recording of this meeting in your inbox more than likely tomorrow, so you have a copy of it as well. So thank you everyone for attending and taking time out of your busy schedules. And we will see you probably the next webinar with the holidays coming. We won't be doing the next one probably until July, I believe July 15th will be our next webinar. So until then, everyone have a good day, and we will see you later on the next topic. Everyone, thank you so much. Take care. Bye.